Hello, Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon. And then I post these videos up to Patreon when I remember. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other damn therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka done. I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They are international. I've gotten great feedback from people using them. So thank you, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. Also, a little housekeeping. I am doing life coaching for people outside of the United States. If you are outside of the United States and you would like to get a hold of me, go to chrisgodinez.com and fill out the email page, and we can start emailing back and forth and figure that out. Hello. So, current events. I, you know, mm, so this morning there was a shooting in Michigan with a automatic rifle, and it was a guy who was 40 years old. There are people in critical condition. The shooter is dead. Um, it's just I this just I can't even. I just can't even. There is a huge mental health crisis in this country. There is. This is none of this is good. Shooting people is not the answer, but when you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and antisocial, you're going to shoot people because the rules don't apply. So, yeah, the events this week have been wild. So that this was just the newest one, and again, I do think there should be some form of gun control. I don't think they should take our guns away. I own guns. I like my guns. I go shoot my guns. They're fun. I enjoy them. I don't use them to shoot animals or people. I do them for target practice. So, I was raised on a ranch. Anyway, the point being is that there needs to be some form of gun control in that people who have got severe mental illness should not be able to get their hands on guns. But the problem of it is that they tend to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So it's like, they're like, well, if you had any sort of mental health issues, then you can't own a gun. Well, no, that's not true. So, anyway, discussion for another day. But the point being is that things are just stupid and I hate this timeline and I want to go to Planet Hawaii. Yeah, that's basically it. Planet Hawaii that has nothing but dogs and cats and nice people. That's what I want. Anyway, Jimmy Kimmel came back onto the air. Sinclair and Nexstar caved, which is good, which shows the power of the people. We do have the power because we have the money. And if we tell them we're not going to buy their stuff, they're not going to like it and they'll do what we want. So there is that. So thank you to everybody who boycotted. I am not re-upping my Disney Plus. They can suck it. So there is that. What else did I want to say? There's so much that happened this week. So Trump has decided that he is going to have the military invade Portland, Oregon, because it's a war zone. No, it's not. Do they have homeless problems? Yeah, they do, like any big city. But he's like making it sound like it's this big thing. Well, the reason he's invading it is because Ron Wyden, who is the representative from there, has been leading an investigation for the last 3 years into Epstein's financial disclosures. And they're about to be released. So can't tell me that is a coinkadink. So he's also given the Army or whoever, National Guard, the right to use lethal force. Now, I don't know if you've read the Constitution like I have, but that is absolutely illegal and it's absolutely against the Constitution. The other scary thing that's happening this week is that Hegseth has called a meeting of all of the generals, all of the top generals in one place, Quantico. Trump is going to be there. And that's never happened before for good reason, because you don't want to leave your troops generalless. Because if you knew anything about strategic stuff or veterans or wars or anything, you'd know that's a really dumb idea. So, strongly suggest that you write your congressman, you write your representatives, and you demand to know what the hell this meeting is going to be about because this is not good. Whatever they're up to, it is not for the good of the people. Let me just be clear on that. Hitler did something very similar. Hitler called all of the generals together and made them take an oath to him. So it'll be very interesting to see what's going to happen. So just remember, there's more of us than there are of them. You keep up the pressure. You do not back down. We do not negotiate with terrorists. And when somebody is using the army against its own people, they're a dictatorship. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Read history. Read about World War II for the love of Christ and all that's holy. Hello. Read about it. If this sounds eerily familiar, it should. So anyway, there it is. Yeah, men trying to act tough. Yeah, again, I want to remind you, narcissists, and Trump is a narcissist. Let's be clear. He's a dark triad. Rules don't apply. Involved with Epstein, all sorts of hinky dealings, multiple bankruptcies, ignoring the Constitution. Uh, where are the people that were in the Florida concentration camp? Where'd they go? They've disappeared. Nobody knows where they are. Okay, none of this is good. None of this is good. He is a narcissist. Narcissists are in love with the idea of being all powerful and causing people's deaths. Have I said this before? Yes, I have. Narcissists ultimately want their targets or target of abuse dead because it makes them feel godlike. Why do you think he gave that order? It made him feel godlike, which is lovely in that it's now rolling into what we are going to talk about today, which is coercive control and malingering and factitious disorder, because they're all kind of right there. Okay, so write to congressmen, write to representatives, demand to know what's going on with these generals. This is not a good idea. And may I remind any and all people in the Air Force, Army, Marines, Navy, National Guard, you took an oath to the Constitution, not to a person. And let me tell you something. I was just following orders, didn't work in Nuremberg, and it's not going to work here. So there it is. Okay. All right. Is anybody else having sound problems? I have one person saying the sound is garbled. Um, let me know. Okay. So where was I? Okay. Coercive control. What is coercive control? It is, yes, sound. Oh dear. John, are we having sound problems? So John's hearing it okay, but you guys are saying it's garbled. Is there anybody else saying that it's garbled? No? Okay. So just a tiny bit garbled. Oh, and I'm closer to the screen. Okay. Okay. So here we go. Coercive control. Coercive control is what abusers do. This is what narcissists do. This is how they manipulate and control their target of abuse. So they use intimidation tactics, as in threatening to hurt, threatening to harm, threatening to bring in national and start shooting people, threatening to, kill the pets, threatening to harm the kids, threatening to, what's the word I'm looking for? Threatening to have you lose your job, threatening your family, threatening to go to your family and make up a bunch of stuff and humiliate and embarrass you. So the intimidation tactics are all over. This is everything that a narcissist does. Okay, they love to humiliate. They love to smear. They love to lie. They love to cheat. They love to steal. They love to rewrite history. They love to physically intimidate. So all of what abusers do is coercive abuse. It's coercive control. It's what they do because they're trying to manipulate you into doing whatever it is they want. That's what abusers do. This country right now is in an abusive relationship with who the guy is the president. Absolutely, because it's a constant state of uproar. It's a constant state of what next? What fresh hell today? Seriously. It's like I wake up in the morning, I look at my news app, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on today? So it's a constant state of fear. It's a constant state of, okay, what is this bully going to do now? So the bullying now has shifted from Chicago since Pritzker basically said, try it, to Oregon. So Yeah, it's a blue state or a blue city. So, they rule through fear. They can't my dad was the same way, guys. I cannot tell you the similarities between Trump and my dad. It's like, do you ever see them in the same room together? No. So, of course, well, my dad's dead, but, the point being is that they have the same behavior. If people My dad's sense of revenge was ridiculous. I mean, stupid, ridiculous. He would slice off his nose to spite his face just to get revenge. Sound familiar? Going after Comey with no evidence? Yeah, that's what they do. They have a high need for revenge. And in that high need for revenge, this is all their ego. In that high need for revenge, they want to be feared. They don't just want to be respected, they want to be feared. They want to be adorated. They want people to worship them as a god. That is how malignant narcissists are. That's what they do. And when somebody doesn't do that, they try to punish him, like Jimmy Kimmel went after Jimmy Kimmel because he made fun of him because the guy doesn't have a sense of humor. My dad didn't either. You know what? Narcissists don't have a sense of humor. They cannot take gentle ribbing or even not gentle ribbing. And here's the deal: if somebody's going to rib you or make fun of you or whatever, you just kind of go, okay, whatever, and you move on. So anyway, the point being is coercive control is exactly what narcissists do. This is exactly what abusers do. And they start low level and then they start bumping it up and bumping it up and bumping it up and bumping it up until they get you to behave the way they want you to. Narcissists want their target of abuse to live in a constant state of fear. That is their goal. They want you to be so uncomfortable and so worried about what they are going to do next that you do not live your life. And that is coercive control because now your every thought is on the abuser. And that is exactly what a narcissist wants because they are, say it with me, a narcissist. So they are doing that to change your behavior, change your mood, change your sense of safety. You don't feel safe anymore. You're walking on eggshells. You're walking on eggshells. You wake up in the morning and you go, what fresh hell is this? You're walking on eggshells. What are they going to do now? What fresh hell is this? And the rules constantly change. So what's okay one day will suddenly not be okay the next. So for example, I could walk into my dad in the morning and say, "Oh, good morning," and he'd be fine, right? Next day, I could say it exactly the same way, and he would look at me and go, "What does that mean? What the what?" And I would know he was in a mood to try to find a reason to beat the living crap out of me. So that is what they do. It is exhausting. It is absolutely exhausting, and they do it on purpose. Why do you think? Why do you think narcissists will wake up and start banging cabinets and pots and pans and whatever? Because they don't want you to sleep or slamming doors, slamming closets. They don't want you to sleep. That's an intimidation tactic. That is coercive control. If you are sleep deprived, you are not going to have the faculties together to be able to tell them to go pound sand. That's why they do it. Okay. They are diabolical. I'm not even kidding you. So everything that is a manipulation is control. Anything that is a manipulation is coercive control. In, I want you to be intimidated. I want you to be scared. I want you to fear me, respect me, love me, adore me. That is what they do. And they can't handle it otherwise. Look, I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's perfectly okay. You don't like me, you go your way, I'll go my way. Have a nice life. Bye-bye. But with a narcissist, if somebody doesn't like them, they are going to pursue and punish. That is what they do because it's all ego driven. They are, lack of a better word, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That ain't good. So that is coercive control. Any manipulation that will cause the target of abuse fear, that will cause the target of abuse to change their behavior or their outlook on life, that is all coercive control. So the lying, the cheating, the manipulating, the any and all of it. So yeah, love that. My family's trying. Try me. Yeah, and that is the attitude you have to adopt with it. Here's the funny thing. Trolls will try once in a while with me, and I'll get rid of them. Love it. Is it? Uh, um, okay, let me know how it is now. Are you hearing it be garbled? Okay, I got a dog right behind me. Hold on. Let me back up. Okay. Okay. Can you hear me now? Whoop, no barking. No barking. Okay. Any and all manipulations. Hold on. Any and all manipulations are. You see your dog. Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on. Okay, okay, there's Moana on the ground. And Lucky, can you show me your face? Lucky, Lucky. This is Lucky, and that's on the ground. I can't show it. Moana. Anyway, so she shakes her. Oh my god, that poor dog. Last 2 days, she has been a nervous wreck. Anyway, the point being is that anything to cause you fear, to cause you discomfort. Well, if you're uncomfortable, you're not going to confront them because you're afraid of what they're going to say. You're afraid of what they're going to do. You're afraid of how they're going to behave. You're afraid of whatever. So that is just coercive control. That is what abusers do. Anything to change your behavior, anything to make you miserable, anything to cause you fear, anything for you to toe their line. That is coercive control. So threatening, threats, empty threats, even threats that are never going to happen. So they'll say, "Oh, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z," and then they never do. But you're sitting there on pins and needles, waiting for that shoe to drop, waiting for X, Y, and Z to happen. So there that is. Okay, I hope that explained coercive control. If you have questions on that, put them in the chat. John will put them in the thing, and I can answer them. Now we are going to move on to malingering. So what is malingering? So I got it wrong on my little reel that I did. I used malingering with factitious disorder. Sorry. So malingering is when you pretend to have a disease for financial gain or something external to get out of a jail sentence, to manipulate the court, to get out of a ticket, uh, to avoid some responsibility or other. That is malingering. So some people will pretend to be mentally ill if they're not in order to avoid some consequence. And I have seen abusers do that in order to try to get out of, I don't know, child support or, having to do whatever it is they were supposed to do. They'll come up with all sorts of crap. So malingering is when you pretend to have some either mental or physical illness to get an external thing, like money, like the people that pretend to have cancer, and then they go out and they get all these GoFundMe things and they get thousands and thousands of dollars. That's malingering, and it turns out they didn't have cancer. That's malingering. Factitious disorder is internal, like Munchausen and Munchausen by proxy are done to get sympathy. There's no money involved, or there might be, but there's mostly the motivation is to get sympathy. So Munchausen disorder, Munchausen by proxy. Munchausen is when the person themselves claims to have some illness or whatever and wants the sympathy. It's not doing it for the money or anything else. They just want the sympathy. Munchausen by proxy is where they make their child ill or somebody else in the family ill constantly. So they constantly get those, "Oh, you're such a good parent. Oh, it must be so hard." Oh, they live for that sympathy, that attention seeking. It's dangerous. Kids have died from it. Absolutely. I don't know if you ever saw the movie The Sixth Sense, but they did a really good section in there on Munchausen by proxy. It was very chilling. And they got it right, which was good on them. Anyway, so that is a factitious disorder, meaning it's not external, it's internal. They can't tell reality from not reality. It's no bueno. So factitious disorder is Munchausen and Munchausen by proxy. Malingering is when it's done intentionally, which generally means there will also probably be a comorbid um, diagnosis of probably antisocial personality disorder, because antisocial believes that, they're above the laws don't apply to them, they can do whatever they want. So here they've got this malingering going on and they're getting money for it and they don't think they're doing anything wrong. So generally, those two diagnoses go together. So there is that. Okay. So I'm trying to think. Is there something else? Oh, maybe I don't want to hang on. Let's see if there's anything else to say about that. Okay, so malingering, differential diagnosis, factitious disorder similar to malingering, but the motivation is internal for attention or sympathy. Uh, Conversion disorder, unconscious fabrication of symptoms typically related to areas of stress or trauma. Somatoform disorders, real physical symptoms that may be exaggerated or misinterpreted. So that would be hypochondria kind of thing. So yeah, and basically addressing the underlying motivation is how you deal with it. And some people who are hypochondriacs, that's just how they deal with stress. It's like they can't deal with the emotional stuff, so they will put it off onto a physical issue because they can deal with that. So, because that's okay, I can worry about that. So, if you start addressing it, it's like, okay, so what are you really worried about? You get down to what's really going on, and you generally find out that they're trying to avoid dealing with the trauma or dealing with the stress. And so, it's easier for them to convert it into a physical symptom than it is to deal with the emotions. Think about it. When we have been raised by abusive parents, we're abusive caregivers, whoever they were, grandparents, foster families, whatever, and they're disordered, they don't want us to have emotions at all, period. They don't want us to have anything that's inconvenient for them because that's how abusers are. And emotions are messy. And so they teach us to be stoic, to ignore our bodies, ignore our emotions, ignore what we're thinking and feeling. And so pretty soon, when we have something come up, instead of acknowledging it, which is the healthy thing to do, we internalize it and we go, it must be something physical. Can't be emotional, it must be something physical because the emotional stuff wasn't okay. So hypochondriac is not always malicious. It's oftentimes driven by trauma and an inability to access the actual emotions. So once you start working on the actual trauma and the actual emotions, physical symptoms go away because they don't need to be there anymore because now you're comfortable with your emotions, you're comfortable with dealing with the trauma, and you're doing all that stuff. So there is that. Okay, let me get rid of that. Okay, factitious disorder. Um, Often associated with childhood abuse or neglect, personality disorders, attention seeking behaviors, and need for sympathy or validation. It's usually a dual diagnosis. There's that. Okay, coercive disorder. Okay, so just to be a little more clear on some of the coercive disorders, isolating you from your support system, that's a warning sign. That's coercive. Monitoring your activity throughout the day, that's coercive. Denying you freedom and autonomy, that's coercive. Gaslighting, rewriting history, telling you you're wrong. No, that didn't happen that way. Name calling, putting you down, that's coercive. Limiting your access to your own money, that's coercive. Reinforcing traditional gender roles. You need to stay home and take care of the kids while I go out. You can't leave, blah, blah, blah. Or vice versa. I mean, I've seen that happen too. Turning your kids against you, parental alienation, that's coercive. Boy, they use those kids as coercive control all the time. And it is so damaging and so unfair to the kids. It's not even funny. Controlling aspects of your health and your body, not allowing you to go see the doctor, or not allowing you to be on birth control, or not allowing you to take care of yourself. Number 10, making jealous accusations. So remember, every accusation by a narcissist is a confession. It is exactly what they are doing. Regulating your sexual relationship. Abusers make demands about the amount of times you have sex each week and the kinds of activities you perform. They may also demand to take sexual pictures or videos of you and or refuse to use birth control. I cannot tell you the number of times I've had clients, oh boy, especially when I was first starting out, that had been blackmailed by their partner or their ex-partner, either into trying to make them stay in the relationship or forcing them to come back because they had videotapes of them engaging in sexual activities. And they would demand that they would do things that the person was not comfortable with. So, for example, this person was not comfortable with orgies, threesomes, etc. Again, nothing wrong with orgies and threesomes, etc., if it's all consensual. This person was forced into it. The abuser took pictures of it and then threatened to send the pictures and the videos to the family, to the job, to the whatever. Well, thankfully, they finally made that a federal offense. It is a felony. So that has mostly died down. I have not seen that particular peccadillo in the last, I don't know, 5 years, 5, 6 years. So there is that. So those are all coercive control methods that abusers use that you need to watch out for. And remember, it's not always physical. Sometimes it's emotional and it's the verbal, and that sometimes is worse than getting hit. Honestly. So anyway, that is coercive control. That is malingering versus factitious disorder. So malingering is for financial gain. Factitious disorder, being Munchausen and Munchausen by proxy, is for sympathy. It's emotional. It's internal. The other one is external. This one is internal. Okay, let's hit the questions, shall we? Does a dark parent tell their child they're afraid of them or tell others they're afraid of the child to manipulate and also coerce the child into doing things they shouldn't do? Yeah, absolutely. If the lips are moving on a narcissist, they are lying. I cannot stress that enough. And they will make stuff up about the kids. They will, tell people the kids are stealing from them or that they're abusing them or basically accusing the kids of the very thing that the abuser is doing. In essence, why do they do that? Well, narcissists need to be the center of attention all the time. All the time. And if you will notice, with most narcissists, they do the whole, I'm the victim here. I'm the victim here, even though they have just blatantly abused somebody or have just blatantly said something abusive. But I'm the victim here. What? That's what they do. They flip the script. It's called flipping the script. So it goes from they have just said something heinous to I'm the victim here. That's what they do. They will never own or take responsibility for their words, their actions, their abuse, none of it. They will go to their graves insisting that they were perfect and they were right and they've never done a wrong thing in their life. So if you think an abuser is going to change, you're smoking the ganja. That's all I can say. So there that is. Okay, let's see what else we got going here. All right. And yes, they will coerce the child into doing things they shouldn't do. They will, if you've got a parent that's personality disordered in any way, shape, or form. So all of the personality disorders, and we're going to talk more about this next week. All of the personality disorders are on a spectrum. Okay. So here you have little traits of, like maybe one or two traits of, okay. But then as it goes down the line, the spectrum, it becomes malignant. And pretty soon, no matter what personality disorder the person started out with, if they don't get help, they start weaving in all of the other personality disorders. They do. So when narcissism becomes malignant, you're going to see signs of borderline. You're going to see signs of paranoid. You're going to see signs of OCD. You're going to see little traits of all of them because they start overlapping because it's gone all the way down and there's been nothing to stop them. So yeah, they don't change, guys. They don't get better. They do change temporarily if the courts have got their eyes on them. And even sometimes at that, they're so blatantly antisocial, they'll thumb their nose at the courts and do whatever anyway, because they honestly do not believe that they owe anybody an apology and that they honestly believe they are above the law and they can do whatever they want. So there is that. Okay. All right, guys, that is it for today. So next week, I have special guest Marsha Diane is going to be on. We are going to go over all of the different personality disorders, just so you guys understand they're different. They do have different symptoms, but when they become malignant, they start overlapping. And we're going to talk about all of that. So Marsha Diane's going to be on next week. We're going to talk about all of the personality disorder. I'm going to give a description of all of them. Marsha's going to help me. So we're going to do that. If you guys see the hype button down by the like button, this is apparently something new. I have no idea. I was watching Don't Scare Claire, which if you love paranormal, go watch Don't Scare Claire. She's great. I love her. Anyway, she said there's this hype button. So there's a hype button apparently if the video is brand new. And you can hype it, and that helps with the ratings, the people, the things. I don't know. I don't care. I just want to educate. That's all I care about. So, anyway, please like, please share, please hype. Yeah, sure. And please do get a hold of your congressman and your representatives. This is very dangerous. This is very dangerous telling the National Guard it's okay to start shooting Americans. Not okay. All right, guys, you guys take really good care of yourselves. Drink plenty of water, and I will be back next week with Marsha Diane, and hopefully I'll get the sound thing kind of figured out. All right, talk to you later. Bye.